Study artists such as Rauschenberg who combines paint, collage, and other materials. Focus on talking about the materials and techniques used, how they enhance, affect the message conveyed, and what the student can learn from the artwork. Milton Ernest Robert Rauschenberg was an American painter and graphic artist whose early works anticipated the pop art movement. Rauschenberg is well known for his combines, a group of artworks which incorporated everyday objects as art materials and which blurred the distinction between painting and sculpture. Rauschenberg was both a painter and a sculptor, but he also worked with photography, printmaking, papermaking, and performance. Rauschenberg lived and worked in New York City and on Captiva Island, Florida, until his death on May 12, 2008. Right now, I will show you artworks and famous sculptures of Rauschenberg. On his return to New York in 1953, Rauschenberg completed his series of black paintings using newspaper as the ground and began work on sculptures created from wood, stones, and other materials found on the street. Paintings made with tissue paper, dirt, or gold leaf, and more conceptually oriented works such as automobile tire print and erased de Kooning drawing. By the end of 1953, he had begun his red painting series on canvases that incorporated newspapers, public, and found objects, and involved in 1954 into the combines, a term Rauschenberg coined for his well-known works that integrated aspects of painting and sculptures and would often included such objects as a stuffed eagle or goat, street signs, or quilt and pillow. In late 1953, he met Jasper Johns and Rauschenberg are now considered the most influential artists who react against abstract expressionism. White paintings consist of a different number of modular panels. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, and 7 panel iterations that have been painted completely white. In each case, Rauschenberg's primary aim was to create a painting that looked untouched by human hands, as though it had simply arrived in the world fully formed and absolutely pure. Considered shocking and even characterized as a cheap swindle when they were first exhibited publicly in 1953. The white paintings have gradually secured a place in art history as important precursor of minimalism and conceptualism. Among the most radical aspects of the series is that these works were conceived as remakable. Rauschenberg viewed them primarily as a concept and allowed for the physical artworks to be repainted and even refabricated from scratch without his direct involvement. This conceptual work presents an almost blank piece of paper in a gilded frame. It was created in 1953 when Rauschenberg erased the drawing he obtained from the American artist. His name is Willem D. Kooning. Rauschenberg's friends and fellow artist Jasper Johns later framed it in a gilded frame and added a written caption to mimic the framing style of the Royal Academy and monogramming found on Renaissance drawings and prints. The caption reads, Erased D. Kooning Drawing, Robert Rauschenberg, 1953. It has been in the collection of the San Francisco Museum of Modern Art, SF MoMA, since 1998. In 1953, the artist directed composer John Cage to drive his Model A Ford in a straight line over 20 sheets of paper that Rauschenberg had glued together and laid in the road outside his Fulton Street studio in Lower Manhattan. The car's front tire left a faint, embossed impressions, while the rear tire, which had passed through a pool of paint Rauschenberg had poured in the street, deposited a juicy black thread mark that stretches in a diminishing line along the 22-foot length of paper. Over the years, automobile type print has been interpreted as a monoprint, a drawing, a performance, a process piece, and a distinctive exploration of indexical mark making. In its serial imagery is one of the earliest examples of Rauschenberg's interest in the visual and psychological dimension of temporal experience, themes he revisited in works such as Hiccups and the One-Fourth Mile or Two Furlong Piece. Robert Rauschenberg is widely regarded as a predecessor of the pop artist because of his incorporation of the stuff of everyday life, including anything that caught his imagination, from rubber tires to light bulbs, into his wide-ranging work. In many of his works, like Bed, he emerged elements of post-war abstract painting with found objects. Belongs to the series of combines that Rauschenberg made between 1954 and 1964. A term coined by Rauschenberg, combines merge aspects of painting and sculpture to become an entirely new artistic category. Art critic Leo Stenverd observed that the orientation of the combine challenge the traditional concept of the picture plane as an extension of the viewer's space, providing a window into another reality. Canyon is one of Rauschenberg's combines, hybrid works incorporating painting, collage, and found object that he began making in 1954. Rauschenberg often kept an eye out for curious items in the street while making around downtown New York, later repurposing whatever that they would lay out for his artistic end. In 1959, he received a phone call from his friend, artist Sari Dienes, who offered him a taxidermied eagle she found in a pile of discarded belongings in Carnegie Hall. Rauschenberg incorporated it into his canvas among other materials, collage among fabric, photographs, and other printed matter and covered with paint. Rauschenberg's juxtaposition of everyday objects, including an image of the artist's son with the eagle, may allude to the Greek myth of Ganymede, the beautiful young boy that Zeus abducted in the form of an eagle. While Rauschenberg was no stranger to collage font imagery, the silkscreen technique reinvigorated his artistic practice in the early 1960s. After Andy Warhol introduced him to the photo silkscreen technique, Rauschenberg created a series of silkscreen paintings that allowed for an open-ended association of meanings through his appropriation and arrangement of mass media imagery. In Skyway, Rauschenberg wanted to communicate the frenetic pace of American culture encapsulated in the early half of the decade, particularly as represented on television and in magazines. He stated, "I was bombarded with television sets and magazines by excess of the word. I thought an honest word should incorporate all of those elements." He created the work in the year following the assassination of John F. Kennedy. Kennedy was a potent symbol for change, even though he was struck down only halfway through his first term as president. The image of Kennedy appears twice in the upper half of the painting, surrounded by images that illustrate the ideals of American progress in the second half of the 20th century, including an astronaut, the bald eagle, and a large mechanical crane surrounded by demolished buildings. The lower half of the canvas contains the repeated image of Morning Toilet of Venus by Peter Paul Rubens. Thanks for watching. Hope you like my video. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel and like and follow to my Facebook page. Link below.